Welcome to the Unshielded podcast, where we explore the importance of rational privacy through the application of data protection and zero-knowledge technology. All right, welcome to this episode of the Unshielded podcast. We are live in London from the Midnight Summit, and I'm joined here today with Tim Tello from Ethics, and he's going to talk a little bit about the convergence of gaming, DeFi, and payments, and a little bit about his background and how he's been participating in blockchain for the past few years. So excited to hear about his experience and what he's excited for here at Midnight. So Tim, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited about Midnight.
Perfect. Well, welcome. For the folks that aren't familiar with you and with Ethics, can you give us a little background of how, your origin story, how you got started in blockchain, things that you've worked on in the past, and what Ethics is all about?
Yeah, so been in video games for most of my career, almost 15 years now. So worked with almost every major publisher, developer, built games like the Narcos that we play on mobile. In a conversation at one of the last E3s with Cliffy B, the creator of Unreal, I got a little early idea on Fortnite and what was coming with Fortnite. And it was going to be the first free-to-play on platform. And at the time, free-to-play was kind of hated by everyone. But I was just watching this whole convergence of how we were moving into these operable tokens in video games. And then at the same time, the European Union was consolidating into the euro. I was like, I think that could happen in video games. I think that's a real possibility. So I built the first Web3 gaming company. I wrote the patent for the use of blockchain in a video game. Got the first SEC no action letter. So we had to do a lot of the firsts in order to get things going.
Definitely at the front of things.
Yeah. So got the first approval from the SEC prior to Gary Gensler being in office, and we designed the first ERC20 token, which went on to be really the basis of Genius Act and Clarity Act. So when Paxos got their Wells letter from the SEC on BUSD, they said, nope, we're following Tim's model. This is 100% the no action letter you gave him. So we did a lot of firsts, and we did that so we could make payments in the App Store, so we could get accepted in the App Store. So that's kind of how it led me into payments and the next step. And I just saw the massive miss that we had in the blockchain space.
Perfect. And so Ethics has kind of been at the forefront of that. What are you working on right now to address what you see as maybe the evolution of gaming, whether it be open source development, engines, is it expansion of communities and universes? What are you guys trying to, not only with Ethics, but what are the trends you're seeing in gaming that allow for DeFi and payments to really come into play?
Yeah, so gaming goes through these kind of these 5 to 10 year evolutionary periods. And so free to play was one of those evolutionary periods. We're in the next one of monetization, and it's always around monetization or it's around engine. So you kind of hit it on the head, but on this one, we're in the monetization era. And what we're seeing is a moment of capitalism being put into video games. And a good example of that is Roblox. Roblox switched to a single currency model in 2015. Since, they've doubled their revenue every year for 7 years. Now they're larger than every other AAA publisher combined. Why? It's kind of like why credit cards were introduced in the 80s. What happened to the US GDP? It doubled, right? The moment you could take a gift card and use it anywhere, and you kind of broke that dilemma of I'm not paying with cash, I'm paying with something else, kind of just opened up so much in the revenue market for e-commerce and retail. I think that's happening very quickly, and blockchain's going to be a big part of that. The difference between Roblox and most publishers is, the rev shares and the waterfalls and how monetization works for them. So EA doesn't make their games, right? They have, the Frostbite engine that gets a revenue share. They have a couple publishers or developers, that are building these games. They have artists, they have live ops. So after the waterfall, how do you know where the money goes? So if I built a game and someone came and played my game and bought tokens in my game, but then went and played your game and bought tokens in your game, how do we know who gets the money? Roblox saw this in a kind of elementary way and said, okay, well, we're the seller, we're the proprietor, we're the marketer, so it doesn't matter where it was bought because we sold it. It just matters where it ended. Well, that's just not going to fly to everyone else. So, major publishers have never jumped on the Roblox, but capitalism is coming to games. And a good example of that's Grand Theft Auto 6. There's a reason that game got pushed back. They're dealing with the complexities of blockchain and how to make things private, and I think they're moving all in that direction.
No, I think that's amazing. And what are kind of maybe ad lib here? What you mentioned around like your being at the forefront of having a token and payments level in blockchain, plus what you're seeing evolve with these. What are some of those lessons learned as you've been at the forefront of this? You've had these considerations, and now, like, as you mentioned, these monetization cycle that we're in, and thinking about how these large scale open communities now are transacting with each other. What are some of those lessons learned that you think you're trying to apply with ethics and start to bring into more of those ecosystems?
We just want to change the pipes, right? We want to make it very simple for these game developers and publishers to be able to do this. We want them to be able to incentivize their players. I think that's a big piece of it, but they have to be able to do that with some kind of privacy. And so ZK has been a big forefront for me for many years. I actually helped develop one of the first versions of a ZK with Janty Kunani. So Janty Kunani, the founder of Polygon, was my first engineer. Together, we built the first ideas around Matic Polygon, the first ideas of ZKs with escrow systems. He hated it. He said, he goes, it's too centralized, Tim. I was like, you can't spell decentralized without centralized. And so you had to have some centralization to have decentralization. So, these ideas you could imagine, like if Call of Duty knew exactly who the big spenders were in Fortnite, they would start sending tokens to those wallets. They would start trying to pull people. And, we've had a big issue with whale hunters in video games for many years. And if we could see who your whales are, that would be catastrophic to most publishers. So privacy is hugely important to these guys. They don't also, one of the big issues I see is like accounting systems, right? Gaming, and I know people in the blockchain space really want the ability to say, hey, that's my token, I could sell it. I don't think that's going to happen per se, but what I do think is going to happen is secondary markets, and I think that's the next level of monetization we're going to see. So, imagine, a company comes in, they put their token on the blockchain, they put all their items and NFTs on the blockchain. Now, you may want to be able to show some of those items to the world so they can bid on them, kind of like an auctioneer, like an eBay. So, and they're going to make money off that through a rake, and you're going to use their token to buy it. But it's still going to be accrual accounting. Money goes in, it stays in the system until you sell something, and maybe you can cash out what you sell, but not, the actual token itself. So you can, whatever items you may have. Now, I may have a very special item that I don't want you to know about. I need to set that into a different privacy layer. I may be, an account that has millions of dollars worth of items. I need to be able to have my own security as a player that I'm not showing you this. And then the publisher, again, does not want people to know who their big spenders are. Because if I'm a rival company, I'm going to go and take those people.
Okay. So then would you say, I guess, chicken or the egg, is the need for privacy with these ecosystems more on a platform level for those developers and for those businesses? Or do you see that those types of unique circumstances for a player or retail marketplace, that privacy is important to them as well?
I think it starts at the platform. I think ease is the biggest thing that we all like in life, right? I used to tell people, like, the easier something is, the more likely it's going to catch adoption. And if you look at the last companies that really unicorn before the crypto era, it's like companies like Ring. You don't have to get up to go check your door anymore. DoorDash, you don't have to go to a restaurant to get a restaurant meal. Ease of access. A player doesn't want to figure out how to do this. They don't want to go and get a wallet. They don't want to go and sign up for this account, to go to that account, to go to Coinbase, to buy the token. They don't want to do any of those things. Ethics solves all those problems at the platform level. We change the pipes. We come in and say, hey, you can use a custodial wallet. You can use a smart non-custodial wallet. We're going to do all those things for you. We're going to have your privacy layer built in. We're going to have your payments. You don't have to worry about that figured out. We have all the pieces. We'll issue tokens for you. We'll issue stable tokens for you. Whatever you need. No one has to understand it's on blockchain. They can use an OAuth to log in. We'll roll up a wallet. It's very simple.
And in your experience too, I think one of the examples that being in the Web2 financial services way back when thought was fascinating in the evolution of payments was thinking of like large retailers. I heard some amazing stat around where Starbucks, once users put money, whether it's gift cards or direct line money into their Starbucks accounts, it stays there.
Yep.
Can you talk a little bit about like that stickiness that happens in your environments in a gaming once there are transactions, financial investments, whether it be a skin or an actual like online transaction of some sort within the gameplay? What is that stickiness to a community that if they use like some of your solutions that you've seen that happen over the course of years where having that kind of infrastructure, having that type of gameplay actually makes them come back and stay longer?
Well, I think that's just inherent to gaming in general, right? Like as a game player myself, I kind of play the same games over and over and over again. It's just that's the game I play, and it's kind of like if you're an athlete, you probably play one sport, and you're probably really good at that one sport, and so your stickiness is there because maybe just your own skill level. That's where it fits. I don't know if it's so much around like, I made this easier for you so you stuck, or I got you to buy something so you stuck. Because, we live in the biggest chargeback community ever to exist. So I don't know if that's the big stickiness. I think the stickiness is just, value in community and play, and like how good you are at playing that game is really why you play it. Everyone wants to be the best.
That's fair. Yeah. Most games, there's even if it's just kind of questing and navigating through an environment, there's still some level of competition you want to complete, you want to get past and get to the next one, whether it's against yourself or in a team mode. So I think the last couple of questions I like to just kind of better understand, like based on what you've seen, based on what you guys are working on, what are some of the trends that you're excited to see, whether privacy or not, that's coming into gameplay in the ecosystems as they evolve here over the next maybe 3 to 5 years?
So I'm excited to watch secondary markets come out. I'm excited to see like the monetization and how those loops work, how they're better for players, how they incentivize players. I'm really excited about rewards. I think rewards are going to be a big part of a lot of games. How ethics isn't just going to be in gaming; it's going to be on websites and storefronts and online retail, where I believe we pay $1 trillion a year in advertising. We're collecting all this payment data. We're going to turn around, put it in custodial wallets, and recreate IDFA without needing to do anything. As a user, we're going to directly reward you. You go to a website, here's $10 for being on that website, and we can just issue that right in the payment processor. So we're going to create, where the average 1% conversion, we're going to increase that to 2 or 3% because we're just going to continuously reward you for the time that you spent, the other websites that you've gone to, the things that you've showed us, and you're going to get value out of that. And I think that's going to be the piece. And then how you bring that back to games that you like or to travel where you want to go. It's like Amex on steroids, right? Amex is a payment company that lives on rewards and data. That's all what ethics is about.
Perfect. Yeah, a real freedom of commerce, like what we've been talking about here, freedom of association, freedom of commerce, freedom of expression. Sounds like all those things are really kind of making happen in the gaming industry. So, as the podcast for Unshielded here in the Midnight Network, we always like to ask any kind of unrestricted, any expectation or any kind of reckless prediction you want to make for blockchain, crypto industry, technology that's going to be coming here that we can expect maybe in 2026?
2026. I think stable token is going to take a much bigger play in your everyday life. A lot of companies and a lot of major payment processors are moving to stable token payments. It reduces chargeback and fraud. It's a big issue right now. I think you're going to see that everywhere. I think the U.S. is going to be, basically the shoulder that this giant's going to be standing on at some point. I think we're going to see out of the Trump administration, because they're basically using stable tokens like a reverse bond, essentially, right? They're to catalyze the U.S. dollar. If I don't no longer have to pay 4 to 6% annum to get other people to hold my funds to create value in the dollar, it's kind of opposite of that with stable tokens, right? People are locking up $1 and they're getting paid 4 to 6%.
Yeah.
And so It's the opposite. And I think what's going to happen is they've started to kind of like rolling this idea like pay your employees with stable token and they don't have to pay taxes. Which, if they do that, I think the biggest piece that we've been missing on people getting into the market is the understanding of how to get a Coinbase account, how to get a wallet, how to buy the first token.
Yeah.
If it comes as your paycheck, so you're no longer paying taxes on it, that's going to be the ease of adoption that we need to catapult the entire industry.
And privacy comes in huge there. We talked about yesterday is, as we asked, like, how many would you like to share what your salary is if you're getting paid on open network blockchain? That might be a little bit more too transparent, where add privacy into exactly the system you're talking about, and it becomes easy to use and the security that everybody's looking for. So I love that prediction. So, well, beautiful. Tim, I appreciate the time here today. Thank you for sharing about your experience, what you guys are doing with ethics, what you see for trends coming here in the near future. And I appreciate you being on the Unshielded podcast.
Thank you for having me.
All right, take care.
Yep.
If you found this episode valuable, be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget to follow us on social media for more insights on blockchain, decentralized finance, and the technologies shaping the future of Web3.